This is our first lawsuit by the ACLJ in 2022, filed last night in the District Court in Maryland, Federal District Court. We are representing Dr. Melissa Landa, who was a professor at the University of Maryland for 10 years until she was dismissed in 2018 because of her pro-Israel views and her Jewish faith.
What exactly happened at the University of Maryland where you were a professor for 10 years?
I formed an alumni organization at my alma mater, Oberlin College, when I discovered that there was a virulent anti-Semitic professor there. Once that began to happen, I began to experience a hostile work environment at the University of Maryland. I went to Israel for Passover. I was reprimanded and told that I was out of bounds from university policy and I needed to come back.
And I understand on that particular thing, Dr. Landa, that on the trip to Israel, you actually had authorization from the university to go.
Yes, I had authorization and I was covering my classes. I was following university protocol. I came back early. My Passover was ruined. I spent the first few days in Israel not spending time with family, sitting on Skype, teaching my classes. And on the first night of Passover, I received this hostile email from my superior telling me that I was basically at risk of losing my job. And things just went from bad to worse. And the next thing that happened was I tried to establish a partnership with the Levinsky College of Education in Tel Aviv to do some research. And I was immediately removed from the course that I needed in order to fulfill that research. This was a course that I had been teaching for 10 years that I had helped to create.
We are seeking action in court, Jordan. That's what's important for everybody to understand. Took it through the administrative process, didn't get the result we wanted. We actually got the result from the EEOC. I should be very clear here. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission came out and said, you have a right to sue here. You've had discrimination. And it should be mediated. They wanted it mediated, and the University of Maryland told the EEOC, no.
She should be back in her rightful position in the university. We're seeking exemplary, that is punitive damages to punish the university for this conduct and associated costs, including the fees and so forth that were necessary to bring the lawsuit. So in other words, punish the university for this anti-Jewish conduct, this anti-Israeli conduct, this anti-Zionist conduct, punish them for that, and give her back the position that she had as a university professor.
You're facing this kind of discrimination. Were you surprised at the response of the University of Maryland during all of this?
I felt like I was living through a slow death of my career. I felt that, wherever I turned, I was having doors slammed in my face. I felt that I was being targeted. I felt that I was being treated for who I was, not for what I had done. I felt that I was being judged not for my work performance, but for my identity as a Jewish Zionist. And I felt that there was nothing that I could do. I felt completely helpless.
Remember, this all began because the professor, Dr. Landa, who was joining us on the air, a client, decided to speak out because of her alma mater. It wasn't something at University of Maryland. It was because her alma mater, which is known for being extreme left university now, Oberlin, but also hosting these professors who are anti-Semites. Again, not just anti-Israel, but anti-Semites. So she speaks out, uses her free speech rights, not about the University of Maryland, but about another university, and it begins this avalanche against her, where, as Andy said, her career is, as she watched it, was being killed in front of her. We're fighting to do something about that. And we've got the federal government on the side, really.
Yeah, EEOC came out and said this case should be resolved, and it should be resolved with an accommodation, and they wouldn't do it. And that's why we're in federal court.
She's terminated in 2018. It's 2022.
I know.
The time for good faith is done. And that's why we filed in federal court.
The problem is these cases, as you know, take a long time. And we're just
working with the EEOC takes a long time.
The EEOC takes years to get through. Then you've got to go to federal court, and it's not going to be over with quickly. But we have to fight these cases, folks, or else we're letting one side carry all of the sound, all of the issue, and we can't do that.